Randy Orton just committed a massive corporate felony on live television. By violently laying out a multi-platinum Grammy winner, he did not just break a personal friendship. He completely shattered the absolute one rule the chief content officer explicitly told him never to touch. Is the apex predator officially too big to be fired, or is a highly controversial secret ally making him completely untouchable? Welcome back to AlphaWar Room. We are ripping the classified documents wide open to expose the complete destruction of the new era, the brutal Pittsburgh Massacre, and the terrifying return of a royal wrestling family. On March 27, 2026, the atmosphere inside the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, descended into pure, unadulterated anarchy. For several consecutive weeks, the loyal television audience had been subjected to a deeply uncomfortable, highly psychological game of cat and mouse. Randy Orton had been slowly, methodically, turning the dial up on his signature brand of sinister warfare, directly targeting the undisputed WWE champion, Cody Rhodes. But the simmering tension finally reached a devastating, violently explosive peak during the Friday Night SmackDown broadcast. The situation completely escalated far beyond a standard physical confrontation between two contracted athletes preparing for a match. In the highly sanitized, heavily regulated corporate environment of the modern TKO era, physically attacking the helpless officials is no longer treated as a simple, entertaining television stunt. It is widely considered a high-level corporate violation. The boardroom views the referees and the security guards as vital, necessary components of their multi-billion-dollar live event infrastructure. When a contracted talent actively chooses to break the unwritten script and physically compromise the safety of the working crew, it traditionally carries severe, immediate consequences. The executives usually hand down incredibly heavy financial fines or instantly issue indefinite, unpaid suspensions to regain absolute control of the chaotic locker room. But the absolute most shocking, terrifying moment of the entire chaotic night in Pittsburgh did not involve a referee or a security guard. It involved a massive, highly protected mainstream celebrity guest. Just moments before the complete breakdown of order, the massive arena had been celebrating a triumphant, highly entertaining moment. The multi-platinum, Grammy Award-winning country music superstar known as Jelly Roll had just successfully won his official singles debut match against Kit Wilson. The massive musician is a widely beloved, highly respected figure within the wrestling community, maintaining deep, personal friendships with both Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Watching the two men he deeply respects violently tear each other apart in the center of the ring, the massive musician bravely attempted to step between them and actively mediate the brutal brawl. He extended his arms, desperately trying to talk some logical sense into the completely unhinged Viper. It was a massive, catastrophic miscalculation. The musician crashed violently onto the hard canvas. The immediate medical staff rushed the ring, completely ignoring the active brawl to evaluate the injured celebrity. From a strict business perspective, this specific, unprovoked attack represents a massive, highly dangerous legal and corporate risk for the massive global conglomerate. Jelly Roll is not a trained stuntman. He is a massive, highly lucrative crossover asset utilized by the TKO executives to actively drive mainstream social media metrics and attract entirely new demographics to the television product. By physically compromising a completely unarmed, non-combatant celebrity guest on live television, Orton committed the ultimate corporate sin. He instantly forced the chief content officer, Triple H, into a massive, inescapable corner. The executive board is currently watching this explosive situation with intense, furious scrutiny. Triple H must now make an incredibly difficult, highly public decision regarding his former Evolution protege. If he simply ignores the blatant, unprofessional conduct and allows the violent assault on a major celebrity to go completely unpunished, he risks losing absolute control of the entire locker room. The other athletes will immediately realize that the top-tier superstars operate under a completely different, highly protected set of rules, completely destroying the strict corporate discipline the new regime has worked so incredibly hard to carefully establish. But if he chooses to bring the heavy corporate hammer down and officially suspends the apex predator, he completely ruins the massive, highly anticipated, undisputed championship match officially scheduled for Las Vegas on April 18th. The executives are completely and delivered a massive, heavily coded message. He coldly stated that wrestling has more than one royal family. This specific, highly targeted quote is a brilliant, direct shot at the entire Rhodes family dynasty. But more importantly, Deeply connected analysts firmly believe it is a massive, blaring siren signaling a dark return to his absolute most ruthless, calculating roots. He is heavily signaling a complete return to the dark, unforgiving values of the Legacy faction. The Legacy prioritized pure, multi-generational bloodlines and ruthless clinical efficiency over the cheap, fan-favorite friendships that completely dominate the modern locker room. He's secretly communicating with an unseen, highly influential figure, orchestrating the massive chaos from the dark shadows. The investigative truth hidden behind these persistent rumors points directly to a man who just successfully survived the absolute darkest, most terrifying legal battle of his entire natural life. On March 20th, 2026, exactly 1 week before the brutal Pittsburgh Massacre, Ted DiBiase Jr was officially found not guilty on all 13 federal criminal counts by a jury in Jackson, Mississippi. The former wrestling superstar completely dodged a massive 185-year federal prison sentence relating to his alleged involvement in a sprawling $77 million state welfare fraud scandal. When DiBiase faced the federal jury, the entire nation watched the disgusting details of the massive scheme slowly unfold. The government presented intense, highly damaging evidence showing that vital federal safety net funds, specifically designed to feed starving children and assist impoverished families, were actively diverted to completely fund a highly lavish, incredibly arrogant luxury lifestyle. The prosecution aggressively detailed the purchase of a massive $1.4 million luxury estate, an incredibly expensive pontoon boat for leisurely weekend recreation, and even a heavy-duty Kubota tractor. Although the highly expensive, politically connected defense attorneys successfully secured a complete unanimous acquittal on all counts by heavily shifting the absolute blame to corrupt state officials, the massive, undeniable stain of the disgusting scandal permanently destroyed his public reputation. The working-class audience absolutely despises the exact idea of a wealthy, highly privileged legacy athlete completely dodging a terrifying prison sentence, while the absolute poorest citizens in the entire country continue to heavily suffer in the dark. 19th. This incredibly specific timeline perfectly aligns with the massive Monday Night Raw broadcast scheduled to take place immediately following the massive WrestleMania 42 weekend. The leaked video strongly suggests that the former million-dollar son is the absolute secret ally actively fueling the incredibly dark, intrusive thoughts currently consuming the apex predator. Orton is acting completely untouchable because he secretly knows he has massive, incredibly wealthy reinforcements preparing to completely invade the corporate landscape. The immediate public prospect of a massive Ted DiBiase Jr return has been met with a fiercely aggressive, highly organized backlash from the loyal fanbase. The massive internet wrestling community is actively trending hashtags demanding the controversial figure simply stay home. The fans are deeply disgusted by his close, undeniable proximity to the absolute largest, most devastating public corruption scandal in the history of the poorest state in the nation. They do not want a man who was federally accused of fully respected corporate culture built entirely on mutual respect, strict professionalism, and high-level athletic competition. Now, his absolute greatest, most successful creation is actively tearing the entire beautiful house completely down to the foundational studs. The brutal reality is that WrestleMania 42 is no longer just a simple, highly anticipated wrestling match for a shiny gold belt. It has rapidly evolved into a massive, highly aggressive, hostile corporate takeover. The apex predator is not just trying to violently defeat Cody Rhodes in the center of the ring. He is actively attempting to completely destroy the bright, heroic, fan-friendly era that Rhodes worked so incredibly hard to perfectly establish. Orton represents the dark, cynical, highly manipulative past of the professional wrestling business. He is a terrifying reminder of a bygone era where Root Handbook and the executives will still be completely forced to hand him a live microphone and a massive main event spotlight. He has successfully backed a multi-billion-dollar corporation directly into an inescapable, highly uncomfortable corner. The deeply psychological warfare extending from the violent physical attacks perfectly illustrates the massive, widening gap between the old guard and the new generation. The modern athletes currently populating the locker room grew up playing video games, actively building massive social media empires, and treating the wrestling business like a highly collaborative, highly respectful athletic performance. Orton completely rejects that entire modern philosophy. He grew up in an incredibly dark, highly competitive environment where a performer had to completely destroy their closest friends just to survive the next round of corporate budget cuts. He learned his trade from deeply ruthless, incredibly calculating men who completely understood that true, undeniable power only comes from absolute, unchecked terror. He is utilizing those old, highly effective previous weeks of television programming further solidifies this deeply terrifying, highly targeted pattern of violence. Cardona, much like Jelly Roll, represents an incredibly popular, highly sympathetic figure who completely built his own massive success entirely outside the strict confines of the giant corporate machine. Orton is systematically hunting down the absolute most beloved, highly respected underdog figures and violently breaking them in half just to completely shatter the hearts of the loyal audience. He is feeding his own dark, insatiable ego by actively destroying the pure, innocent joy of the fans. It is a highly sadistic, incredibly effective method of generating absolute nuclear-level television hatred. As the frantic, highly energized countdown to Las Vegas rapidly approaches the absolute final hours, the intense pressure on Cody Rhodes is completely unimaginable. The undisputed WWE champion must now prepare to completely defend his prestigious title against a man who has absolutely lost his entire mind. Rhodes is not just fighting a highly skilled, incredibly experienced technical wrestler. He is is the legend killer finally back to being the absolute only man the company is far too afraid to actively discipline? The countdown to Las Vegas has officially begun, and the absolute destruction of the new era is completely underway.